If you guys remember, a few weeks or months ago, I made a video where I explained a theory about why Archer Artoria, her swimsuit version, has an Arts NP. In that video, I talked about how maybe it's because she's on vacation and just wants to avoid Merlin. You know how Merlin's skills are super synergistic with her regular Buster deck, right? But by switching to an Arts deck, she kinda creates a reason to not pair up with him. Kinda makes sense, right? It gives players no reason to group them together because their kits don't match anymore. I also mentioned how Rider Alter Artoria has a quick NP. Maybe it's the same thing. She doesn't want to deal with Merlin either, especially since, well, she's a maid now. And that got me thinking. What about MHX? MHX has a quick NP too, right? And as we all know, she really doesn't like Artoria faces. So what if she deliberately chose a different NP type to distance herself from anything Artoria-like? What if this is what happened to her? Artoria is known for her Buster deck, so maybe MHX wanted to go with Arts to be different. But then she saw Nero, another Artoria face who uses Arts. Seeing those two well-known Saberfaces using red and blue, she probably decided to go with green, or quick attacks. It's kind of a fun way to think about it. Also, MHX never met Merlin and wasn't raised by him either. So, no emotional or gameplay reason to use an NP type he supports. Maybe that's how it is. It's been a while since I've done one of these weird FGO lore plus gameplay theory dives. Let's bring it back. And if you're new here, yes, I do this a lot. Check out my playlist. Now let's talk about Jack and Nursery Rhyme. These two are always seen playing together. Sometimes John Lily joins in too, but let's focus on just Jack and Nursery for now. At first glance, their friendship seems pretty normal, just two kids in Chaldea playing around. I mean, what's so special? But if you look a bit deeper, I think there's a real reason why they're so close. Think about Jack's nature. She's literally an amalgamation of wraith born from the souls of abandoned children who crave a mother's love. She even calls us mommy. And what's one of the most classic mother-child bonding moments? Reading stories. Yup, stories meant for children. And you know who literally is the embodiment of children's stories? This girl right here, Nursery Rhyme. After seeing that, it's just clicked in my head, of course they're close. It makes total sense. A kid who longs for a mother's warmth will try anything to feel that connection. And the closest thing they can find is someone who represents something moms often do with their kids, like reading them a nursery rhyme. Alright, next up, let's talk about Heracles. I don't talk about him often, but this is something FGO players who also follow the anime or lore always bring up. Why doesn't Heracles have his noble phantasm, God Hand, in the game? Let's be real. From a gameplay perspective, obviously the devs weren't going to drop such a busted ability on a berserker. He was one of the early servants, and he's known for raw damage, agility, and survivability. There aren't a lot of skill slots to work with either. So I kinda get it. In the game, sure, he has a gut skill and a craft essence that gives him 3 revives, but that's still not God Hand, not even close. So where is the God Hand? You can interpret it however you want, but for me there's more to it. I don't want to settle for a basic game limitations excuse. That's like asking why Deku was chosen by All Might and getting the answer because the author planned it that way. Like no, I want the deeper, in-universe reason like Deku has a heroic heart and self-sacrificing nature. So what about Heracles? What's the in-universe explanation on why he doesn't have it in Chaldea? Well, think about it this way. God Hand is a super broken noble phantasm. Maybe Chaldea simply can't afford the mana cost to activate it. Remember, it's been mentioned before that Chaldea isn't allowed to have any major equipment shut down during a Grand Order operation. And honestly, I feel like a lot of their stuff needs a stable mana supply to keep running. And Fuji isn't a high magic master. He's just a regular guy with no special mage bloodline after all. Meanwhile, the living version of Heracles and Okeanos can use God Hand because he's directly empowered by a grail. That tracks for me. He has the mana source to pull it off. What do you think? Does that make sense? Alright, so this isn't really a theory, more like my dumbass brain just realizing something way too late. It's never been officially labeled this way, But Carmilla is basically Elizabeth Alter. Like, she's literally Liz consumed by her darkest instincts. She's got the gold eyes, pale hair, hates her other self, and even her color palette is darker and more washed out. Back then, people probably wouldn't call her an alter because alter used to mean being corrupted by some outside force. But over time, the whole alter thing expanded. Some become alter through wishes and the Grail, like Artoria Alter and the gang. Some because they lived a totally different life than their original, like Arjuna or Amiya. Others by their own choice, like Atalanti. And some just grow into it over time, like Benny Enma. That's when it hit me. Liz and Benny are kinda the same. Whether she wants it or not, Elizabeth will eventually become Carmilla, a colder, darker version of herself. Therefore, Carmilla is somewhat Elizabeth Alter. And speaking of things I didn't realize right away, I want to talk about Musashi for a sec. Fate's Musashi is this cheerful, carefree, go-with-the-flow kind of person. She's super friendly and always lives in the moment. But there's one thing she really struggles with: falling in love. Now don't get me wrong, Musashi falls for people really easily. Someone's just a little nice to her and she's already smitten. Especially if they're good-looking. Doesn't matter the gender either. Some even joke she likes younger boys because of a scene in Shimosa, but that's 100% just a meme. Musashi just really likes cute things, and kids are cute, so she adores them in a wholesome way. Nothing weird. But here's the thing, even though she crushes on people all the time, she never takes it seriously. Like with Fujimaru, she clearly likes them, but in her voice lines, she never dares to actually pursue that feeling. She even panics when it gets too real. Why is that though? It feels kinda in between, right? Like, she falls for people easily but can't take it seriously. And that's when I remembered, the real-life Musashi Miyamoto never married or had a wife either. His reason? He simply dedicated his life to the sword. And now I realize that FGO Musashi is following the exact same path with almost similar reasons. I know it's not some huge mind-blown discovery, but I still think it's pretty cool. Fate, a series that literally started as a corn game, actually respects that little historical detail, so much that even one of their hottest characters avoids romance out of loyalty to her real-world counterpart's ideals. Well, it's not exactly a new thing, but it's pretty rare to see it show up in the small details of their behavior. Alright, let's dive a bit deeper into something. Lately, I've been reading a lot of mystery stories, and of course, the Salem witch trials came up. Even though the real story is much more tragic than how it's usually shown in entertainment media, it's still one of the most iconic real-life mystery cases out there. So today, I want to talk about this woman named Tituba. Yeah, the same Tituba we see in FGO. Historically, Tituba was an enslaved Native American woman owned by Samuel Parris, the minister of Salem Village. She was one of the first people accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials. She ended up being arrested and confessed to using witchcraft after being beaten by Samuel Parris. That's basically when the whole chaos of the trials started. Tituba then accused 2 other women of witchcraft and started saying a bunch of wild things, stuff that made no logical sense, like seeing black dogs, birds, a fox, and even claimed that Sarah Osborne, one of the women she accused, had a creature with the head of a woman, 2 legs and wings. Now, hold on a second. That description sounds familiar. I suddenly remembered there's a woman who snuck in with Fujimaru during the Salem chapter in FGO, and she had that exact description. It's Circe. Not to mention, Circe is literally a magic user. So yeah, this got way more interesting for me personally after learning all this. It makes me wonder, was that the author's intention all along for bringing Circe into Salem? I mean, back then, people expected the Salem chapter to involve Medea because of the whole witch trial theme, but instead, Circe shows up out of nowhere. Honestly, I used to think her appearance in Salem felt really random, especially since she popped up right after disguising herself as Medea. But now that I've read more about the real Tituba and the stuff she said, Circe showing up suddenly doesn't feel random at all. The author was definitely being cheeky with this one, putting Circe there on purpose so it links back to real-world events. Now this kinda opens up some weird theories. Like, maybe the author actually wanted us to think that the real-life Tituba somehow witnessed Fujimaru working to fix the singularity, but maybe she half forgot about it because of some weird effect or whatever. She still remembered Circe though, which makes sense, since in the game it said that Tituba was imprisoned with Circe, and they had a lot of moments together. Or maybe the author just wanted to throw in a small historical connection for fun. Either way, it's pretty cool. What do you guys think? Click subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time.